Hello, my dear audiences, my dear fellow Americans. Welcome to the show. Jack Chow on East West Show with G&E TV. Paying attention a little bit to what's happening within us, called it USA Today, like the big title says. We're trying to check about different aspects of United States. First, we have to say something that there is a big issue involved that also involves us, which is grace, right? And then we'll talk about the Supreme Court ruling in two layers. Number one, the same-sex marriage legalization. Number two, the Obamacare re-ruling or second rule something. And then we'll talk about Donald Trump.
Oh, there we go.
That buffoon. I don't know how to name him. And also the legalization or normalization of Mexico and Cuba, right? So with me is my good friend and the political commentator, also chairman of Temple City Chamber of Commerce, Mr. Peter Choi. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Jack. Always a pleasure to be here. Excited to talk about these very important news headlines that we've been reading. And also, of course, any of the opinions that I am talking about are my personal opinions.
Oh, yeah.
And not reflective of any organization that I belong to.
It is a good thing to talk to you. The only, regret is that it's been too long since the last time you were here.
I know. Look at all the news that we have to catch up on. And these are just the big stories.
So anyway, first of all, for the past few weeks, people started to talk about the grease problem. I know it's a problem just to pop it up, but in the cooking for a long, long time, right? So your take about what's happening there, please? Well, and how we're related, how we're kind of like, yeah.
Well, if I may, I just want to take a step back and look at the big picture of the European Union, the Euro, and Greece.
Which is quite
and
necessary.
What's happening in there.
yes.
Because I think for a lot of Americans, they're not able to understand. It seems like it's just one country with the economic problem. Why is it a problem for Europe? The first thing to realize is, here in America, we are the United States. We are 50 states. And we all work together. That's what makes America such a strong country. Now, the European Union, it's kind of like, and the United States, the 50 states, it's kind of like planning dinner. If I plan dinner just for 2 people, easy to plan dinner. But when you invite 50 people, they all have different food tastes. Okay. Some are vegetarian, some cannot eat shrimp. Some of them don't like to eat, cannot eat dairy products.
So some like
so
me,
you have to.
Some like me, right? Meat, nothing but meat.
Some people eat nothing but meat. Some people eat nothing but vegetables.
Sure.
You have all these guests. You have to. The dinner becomes more complicated, and that is kind of the problem we have in Europe. In Europe. Back in around 1999, 2000, the European countries decided to all come together and kind of like the United States, form a united union of European countries. This is in their economic interest. Also, it's very easy to drive from France to Germany or from Germany to Italy, etc. Crossing the borders, very open. And so the European countries were in some ways modeling themselves after the 50 United States. Together they would be one European, not country, but union. They would share the same, just like the US, all 50 states use the US dollar. All the European Union would use the euro.
All right.
So the franc, the Deutschmark, the lira, all went out and everybody used the same currency, the euro. Now, just like in the United States, in the European Union, there are rich countries, and there are not so economically strong countries.
You're right.
You know, and so, but the difference is, and just like in the United States, you have very high income states like New York State, Massachusetts, California. They send a lot of money to Washington. But then there are other states like Mississippi, Alabama. These do not have a lot of revenue. So they get more from Washington, D.C. in terms of welfare, government assistance. And so really the strong states, New York, California, et cetera, are subsidizing the not so strong states.
The contributors.
Contributors. They send more to Washington, but Mississippi, Alabama, they get more from Washington.
Sure.
That way, all 50 states can operate equally. In Europe, that's the way it kind of is supposed to work. That there are some countries that are very strong economically, like Germany, very strong, France, etc. Then there are some countries that are not so strong, in fact, have some economic problems. Greece. Behind Greece, you also have countries like Portugal, Spain, even Italy. And the bigger problem is that for a strong country like Germany, they are very willing to help weak areas of Germany, but not so willing to help another country.
Yeah, which is quite normal.
You know, so that would be like California saying, we will help the poor areas of California, but we don't want to send money to Mississippi and Alabama. Any money we have, we want to spend in California. But that's not how the United States works. We are all 50 states in it together. So the European Union had this problem where you have some countries that are not able to generate that sort of revenue. That was where Greece was. They were lent money. Now the big banks and the IMF, the International Monetary Fund, they lent Greece a lot of money, but it didn't help the situation. Unemployment very high. I think 60% of young people unable to get a job. Their parents and grandparents losing their pensions. And so the economics was very dire. Now, this vote was led by the German wing of the European Union, and they said to Greece, you have to vote yes, and if you vote yes, we will help you, but you must establish some very severe austerity measures. That was going to be very financially difficult for the Greek people. They're going to have to suffer more than they have been suffering. They've been suffering for over 5 years now. And remember, the European Union only started in around 2000. I think Greece joined in 2001. So less than 15 years. And for the past 5 years, they have already been suffering. So the Greeks had a choice to say yes to the European Union and suffer even more, cut the budget more, you know, and have a very difficult time, or say no. Now, they voted no. I think it was something like 60% voted no. Why did they do that? What does that mean? It means that now the European Union, led by the German wing, has to decide. Are they going to cut Greece and have it no longer be part of the European Union and go off independent? That's like having Mississippi become the United States of 49 states
right there.
And Mississippi leave. So have them leave. Now the problem is, if Greece leaves the European Union, does not use the euro, becomes its own independent state again, then the problem is it doesn't end there. You have the same kind of issue, Portugal, Spain, Italy. So it could be a domino effect. And the whole European Union could collapse. Now the other option is the European Union can say to Greece, okay, we will continue to help you. And we shall see in the days to come which way they will go. And that is what happened this week with Greece. The reason it matters to us here in America is that even though Greece is a smaller country, we do a lot of trade. And Wall Street has a lot invested in the strong economics of a European Union. If the European Union starts to break apart, if Portugal and then Spain and Italy start to crumble away and the whole European Union falls apart, then that's going to have an economic effect over here that's going to be huge.
From a very profound perspective, you will find out for a nation who lets its economy go to that kind of bottom, though, and they have to suffer the consequences, which is biologic. Am I right?
Well, yes, and I don't think anybody, certainly not in Greece, is not saying that they're not going to, you know, tighten their belt straps and try to climb out of the hole. But the bigger picture is, it's kind of like this. We have our families. Maybe you have a cousin. They don't handle their money well.
It doesn't work.
They're always asking for a loan. Always asking for a loan. and you're always giving them a little bit more money and saying, this time,
It's the last time.
you cannot buy soda and candy.
Right, yeah.
You have to try to get a job.
Sure.
Get your life back
Okay,
together.
Okay, yeah.
But it's not happening. It's very difficult for them. Now, finally, they're at the position where if you don't give them one more loan, they will be homeless. What do you do? It's a very difficult decision. Do you do tough love, or do you give them a loan again and hope that this time they will?
What do
step out
you
of it?
think mostly will likely be happening?
I think
Do they give them the tough love? So this is the last time, go for it, or otherwise you never have a chance. Or still have it a slide. Because you're talking about millions of Greeks. There are 24 million something, right?
yes, the thing to look at, Jack, is where is the money coming from and where is the money going? When we just talk about the European Union and Germany and Greece, that doesn't tell us who's giving the money and who is spending the money.
Where does it come from?
Right. And the thing is that the Greek government owes money to the banks. That's who lent them money. When you owe money to the bank, any payment you make goes to the bank. And so the bigger problem is that in a very simplified manner, the money that we're talking about is money that is owed to the banks and the IMF, et cetera. And that doesn't help. Paying back that debt does not help the Greek people. It doesn't help create jobs. It's just paying off a loan. So it doesn't create jobs. It doesn't grow the economy. It doesn't ensure the pensions. It doesn't help young people get work. And so part of the no vote was the Greek people saying, we want the focus not to be just about paying the banks, but growing the Greek economy. And that's the conversation you're going to have.
Okay, very good. All right, thank you for the analysis. Today joining me is my good friend, Mr. Peter Choi, Chairman of Chamber of Commerce of Temple City. That's not important. What is important is that he is a political commentator on several international and domestic issues. Now we're talking about Greece, and we would have to watch a little bit, see what those poor Greeks will do in the short-term future, because we believe that in the short-term future, things will pop up. They're going worse or whatever, even worse. So we never know. One thing for sure, though, there is still a humanitarian point of view to talk about, right?
Yes.
So if they are so down, so broke, so somebody have to jump in. Anyway, we can't automatically let them die, right? So let's take a very short moment now. When we come back, we have more issues to talk about domestically. That's why we call it USA Today, right? So stay with us. We'll be right back.